Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stephanie Keel. I am the Director of Marketing for the Arts Center of Kershaw County, and we are currently in the works of The Importance of Being Earnest. This play will not be on stage, it will be on your screen. And we have Miss Debra here, and she is playing Miss Prism in The Importance of Being Earnest. How are you? Welcome.
I'm fine, thank you very much.
Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, your background, your theater life? How did you? Why are you here? Tell us a little
Why am
bit
I
about
here? Well, that's an
yourself.
excellent question, isn't it? I'm actually retired. I took an early retirement a couple of years ago, but I think I was born performing. I have always been a performer, have always enjoyed doing different accents, singing. And I got my start in community theater. I believe I was a sophomore in high school, and we were living in Newport News, Hampton, Virginia. And my first production, I started out as the ventriloquist's dummy in George M. And during just a little bit before we opened, I also got an upgrade to play the little girl who sang Down by the Erie. So those were my starting roles. And I went to school for laboratory technologist. So I'm a laboratory scientist, or I was for many years, but I went back into community theater. And from 1977 to 81, I did a lot of theater in Columbia. And in 1983, I decided to move to New York to pursue acting professionally, which I did. And I did a lot of commercials and industrial training films. And then got married, had kids. And when I was going to retire, I decided to come back to Columbia where my sisters were. And it's been about a year and a half ago, I got started with community theater again and did 3 shows last year. Did Other Desert Cities with Racy Talbot, who was in the show, and Bill Arvey, and the Dixie Swim Club, and then also did Twilight on Cape Fear last year. So this is actually my 3rd virtual production since quarantine.
Oh,
So I'm,
really?
I'm very excited. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So I want to touch back on that, but I did want to ask you. It's really interesting that you have these 2 different lives, if you will, a scientist and an
Yes.
actor. Do you
Yes.
feel that the arts and that theater has been an outlet for you as far as just your creativity? Is it something that you feel that you really need in your life?
Oh,
Could you kind of
absolutely.
talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. I mean, I had done laboratory work for a while, and then, like I said, I decided to pursue acting. And so I moved to New York. And I did that for about 8 years. And then I went back into the laboratory. But the last job that I had for the last 13 years, I was actually in corporate training. And it was wonderful because I felt like I got to merge my 2 careers because it was in healthcare. And so I said, I love, to use my theatrical background. I get to use my medical background, and I enjoyed training people. So it was like the perfect job, and they all came together. And it was just a wonderful combination. I loved it.
That's so cool. What a perfect marriage of 2
It really was.
completely
Yeah.
unlikely
And I
forces.
got paid for doing it. That was the best part.
That's the best when you get paid for doing what
Yeah.
you love. So you mentioned that this is your 3rd virtual performance.
Yes.
Tell us about what is it like doing a virtual performance? I know that's a loaded question.
It's very interesting, but I have to say, it has allowed me to do some roles that I probably would not have done otherwise. The first role was actually Frank Thompson was in it with me, and I was cast as King Henry IV in King Henry IV Part 2. And obviously we had, a non-traditional casting. So to be able to do Shakespeare, it was the first time I had done Shakespeare, and get to play a king was pretty cool. And then I had also done, I just did Night Must Fall. and I played Mrs. Bramson in that. And she's an older English woman who is an invalid. So it's really neat. And now I'm doing Miss Prism in The Importance of Being Earnest, who is very uptight, very prim and proper. She is a governess and, no nonsense kind of
That
character.
was my next question. Tell us about Miss Prism. And also I'm noticing your hairstyle, your
Yes.
wardrobe. You guys are all doing this yourselves.
Yes.
You are an actor, you are a
Makeup
wardrobe
artist,
stylist,
costumer.
all of it. And you look
All of the
beautiful,
above.
by the way.
Oh, thank you very much.
You
Thank
look
you.
absolutely perfect. But
Well, thank God for YouTube, so you can go find out how to do your hair in a Gibson girl updo.
another silver lining of this
Yes,
COVID is
indeed.
we have all learned a lot online, I think.
Yes, we have.
But what has that been like, just to kind of play all of the different roles as well as
You-
performing?
Well, not only is it the acting challenge, but like you said, with the makeup and with hair, and what you try to make each of your characters unique. So just the differences in makeup, the way I looked for Mrs. Bramson, who was in the 30s, very stern character. I gave her a big beauty mark here, and much more, very sharp eyebrows and stuff. And Miss Prism, who is very straight-laced, very prim and proper. And then King Henry, so it was, it's been interesting, but it's been fun creating not only the look, but also that inner life of the character as much as you can doing a virtual production,
Right. You have to almost go another mile just to really, really, really enhance your character's presence.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the stage and the props.
No, and you're talking,
right.
You're doing everything from here up, so but having wonderful people to work with and to bounce ideas off of, and then just having that acting, you still can feel that, even though you're doing it on Zoom. I mean, when you've got good actors, that transcends and translates, into magic. It's different from being on a live stage, but it's still a wonderful, wonderful feeling.
It's definitely still magic.
It is.
Speaking of magic, do you have a favorite production, either straight play or musical?
I started out doing musical theater, and my favorite role when I was doing musical theater was Nancy and Oliver. I really loved that. I did that in workshop theater. I think it was 1981 or 1980. And then the first play that I did when I came back to the theater after an absence of 38 years, I played Polly Wyeth in Other Desert Cities. And it was a role that Stockard Channing had created on Broadway. And she really spoke to me. It was, I guess you would call it a dramedy, really, it's serious, but there was some lighter moments in it, but the subject matter was pretty heavy. And I could relate to the character. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I just really loved it so much. Yeah.
Fantastic. What about an actor? Do you have a favorite performer? Either on camera or on stage?
So many. I mean, I loved Robin Williams. Not only a wonderful comedian, but a really wonderful actor, so versatile. And I love to see actors who really stretch, obvious choice, Meryl Streep, but I had mentioned Stockard Channing. I have loved her ever since I saw her do a movie back in the 70s, The Girl Most Likely To, where she starts out as this very unattractive, overweight girl, and everybody treats her poorly. She loses weight, has plastic surgery, and she comes back and seeks revenge on everybody. And it was just wonderful to see those transformative roles that she does. And Rizzo in Grease. I played Sandy in Grease. I really wanted to be Rizzo, but the director wouldn't buy it.
You're actually not the first person that I've heard say that. people, always say, I really wanted to be Rizzo.
I really wanted to be Rizzo.
Funny. Well, so if we kind of shift over to Earnest, to the importance of being earnest, what is it about this show that you feel people will be attracted to? What do you think that, I mean, and we're speaking to not only theater people, but to our entire audience, which has now gone from, this zip code to really the entire world, because with the internet, it's available to everyone. What is it about the importance of being earnest that you feel would be interesting for just a regular average Joe who doesn't know anything about theater?
I think one of the things that I love about it is, nowadays we've got social media, right? And people can be one thing on social media and they can be totally different in real life. Back when The Importance of Being Earnest was written, people sometimes would have different facets of their personality, but it was much stricter. So their inner lives were perhaps what we would see now in somebody's social media post, but they had to keep that inside and very contained. And I really think it's a play of manners. And you get to see how people, that outside persona that they give to the outside world, and then when they're alone, maybe with someone else, they allow that other side of their personality to come out. So that's what I think will intrigue people, because we're not just one person. And we get to play some of those different facets, which is lovely.
That's so interesting. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being a part of this cast. Thank you so much for the time that you are putting into it. We are just absolutely thrilled, and we can't wait for the release date.
Yes.
So thank you very much, and I look forward to
Thank
seeing
you.
the finished product.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Appreciate it.